Coming up today on That LTD Life, I'm checking out Rambox, a workspace simplifier, a boost to your productivity, a browser that's okay with you seeing other browsers, and best of all, a code limited deal at AppSumo. You can currently get Rambox for just $5. So rush over using the link in the description to lock up your code. My thanks to AppSumo for sponsoring today's video. Now, Rambox is certainly not unique in its concept. You've probably seen other apps like this before, or even used Rambox itself. They're kind of the OG of this space, having been around since 2016. The concept is simple. We live inside of the browser, but there's no reason that we should do all of our work inside of the browser that's littered with 150 different tabs. So what if we could take our main apps outside of the browser and have them coexist together so that it's easier to interact with your Slack, your Notion, your help desk, your email, everything living all inside of one nice workspace, and then you can use your browser for everything else, like scrolling on social media and looking at YouTube videos and Twitter and all of that crap. Now, I've actually been using Rambox for about the last week. I've even produced videos using this browser, and I guarantee you didn't even notice. This is just a Chrome browser, but it organizes the apps in a way that's more conducive to productivity than it is social media distractions. Now, before recording this video, I deleted everything that I've been doing inside of Rambox so I can recreate it for you in front of your own eyes. Now, you'll get a nice welcome sequence when you set up Rambox, but I don't have that because, like I said, I just deleted everything. So let's go through it from the beginning. I'll take you through it step by step, and maybe you'll learn a little bit about different apps that I like to use as well. That could be interesting for you, I hope. So I'm going to click on the plus button up here, and that lets me add an app or what's called a workspace, and I'll explain the difference here momentarily. First of all, we just see a huge directory of apps. Now, any website that you want to use can be used inside of Rambox, but these are the ones that have these kind of preset integrations. Here's an old AppSumo lifetime deal I just stopped on. Content Studio, this is for social media management, but you'll probably see a lot of names that you recognize here. It's everything that's name brand, as well as everything that you've never heard of before. So we got Dropbox, there's Google Duo, Facebook MetaSuite, Fastmail, Figma, Fiverr, GitHub, Gmail. I mean, every app that you can imagine has an icon represented here. So I'm going to go ahead and add an app that I use all of the time, and that is Claude. So I'm just going to add in Claude here, and it says talk to Claude, an AI assistant. It populates it with an icon from Claude and then gives it the name Claude AI. There's some options here like enabling the app, which basically just turns it on. And if you're on a laptop, you might want to be more selective about what apps you leave on because they'll consume more battery power. That's one of the nice things about Rambox is they'll automatically power down websites when you haven't used them in a while. But of course, you can set that down here with the hibernation mode. But one nice thing about Rambox is notifications. You can turn on and off notifications on a site-by-site basis and have them all contained inside of this single application, Rambox. You can set up different profiles. So if you have multiple user accounts, say for Gmail or another service, maybe even Claude, you might have a work Claude as well as a personal Claude. Well, you can set up different user profiles and then keep them logged in and everything will be separate. More on this later, but just planting that seed that user profiles are a thing and we can add as many as we like. Just click the plus button right here. By default, we get 3. There is the primary profile, the private profile, and then incognito. Now, one of the things I really like that Rambox does is right here, link handling. I use a lot of web apps before trying out Rambox, and web apps are generally very good where you can either use Chrome or Safari and then save a website as an application on your desktop. But there are some drawbacks to that. And the number one reason I don't like it is link handling. If you click on a link to go to an external site inside of a web app, it typically just opens up another window of that web app. And inside of that web app, the second problem is occurring that I don't have my normal extensions. So if I'm trying to watch a video, I don't have my playback controls. If I try to log into a website, I don't have my credentials. I don't have my password manager because that's a browser extension as well. Well, Rambox is going to solve most of this for us. So we've got link handling here. I can have the default behavior, which will apply to all of my applications, or on a case-by-case basis, I can set it to, let's say, open up my links into my default browser. All right, enough talk here. Let's go ahead and add Claude. And here it is. It is now right over in my left-hand sidebar. And anytime I want to access Claude, it's very easy to get to. So here we are all signed in with Claude. Now I could go ahead and add my other most frequently used websites along the sidebar here and just hit plus and go ahead and search the different icons, or even add a custom website right here where it says add custom app. Let's try that next. I'll add a custom app. I'm going to give it a name. All right, this is a Free Scout, a help desk that I self-host for our business. I'm just going to label it Free Scout, and then I entered the URL in here. Now, it doesn't have the icon that I want, so I can either let it pull in the favicon from the website, or what I actually want to do is just upload my own logo. So I'm going to do that. I'll click right here on the question mark, and I'm going to upload a logo that I've got prepared, and we're good to go. I have all of the same options that I saw before with one of the apps that was in their directory, but here I'm going to go ahead and add this. And now I've got my help desk right over here, and I can toggle back over to Claude right there. Now there's a few other apps that I use frequently when I'm supporting our clients. Namely, we have a project management tool as well as a chat tool. It sure would be nice to have them all together so that I could access them easily. For that, I'm going to use something called a Workspace. So clicking on the plus button here, instead of choosing custom app, I'm going to choose add Workspace. I'm going to call the Workspace client amp, and let me add our logo. There are some icons to choose from, but I'd rather just upload our custom logo here. All right, there we go. I've got our logo uploaded. And now next I'm going to choose my layout. I've got all of these different grids. These are how I can lay out the different apps or websites that I want to view. To get started, I'm just going to keep it really simple and have everything be full screen, which is this first option. I should mention that I can have this available to notify me only during work hours. So if I only want to provide support, let's say between, I don't know, how about 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., well, there we go. Now I'm not going to get any notifications outside of those hours. Okay, let's go ahead and create this workspace. And now you can see I'm selected on the client amp workspace over here, but I've got a second layer where I can add in other apps. I'm using Mattermost for our team chat, and it is inside of the directory here. Even though I self-host it, I'm still going to be able to use the Mattermost app from Rambox. Mattermost is a lot like Slack, except you can run it on your own server. Now I want to get logged into my Mattermost account, but I don't have my password manager here. So let me go ahead and set up an extension. Right over here, I've got kind of the universal icon for extensions, I believe. I can click on here and then hit the plus button to install my extension for Bitwarden. That's the password manager that I'm currently using. I'll just toggle it on here and you can see it's now been added. With Rambox, we don't get access to every single Chrome extension, just the ones that they make available. But there's a lot of good ones here. So if you're using things like Grammarly or a password manager, chances are it's going to be supported. But you can be positive that any kind of obscure development type of tool is probably not included. So now that I've added my password manager, it says there's been a change in the extensions. Please reload to try again. Before I do that, I'm just going to get logged into my Bitwarden account. Once again, we use a self-hosted password manager as well. I'm using a self-hosted version of Bitwarden. I know that's a little bit unusual, but it does let me use that right inside of Rambox, which I think is amazing. So here I am logged into my vault. I am good to go. Now I'll just refresh the page. My password manager kicks in and I'm good to go. Now it sure would be nice if I could move my support desk, remember that was Free Scout, into the workspace that I just created, because this is where I want to engage with all of our customers. So to do that, I'm just going to right click on the icon and then choose these two arrows that pop up a little tooltip that say Move App. And here I can easily move it into the Client Amp workspace. Confirmation message later, and everything is set up how I like it. So now I can be using Claude over here, but when it's time to switch over to help out the clients, I'll go over to that workspace and I can either use our help desk or jump right into our team chat. I'm going to round out the workspace by just adding one more app in here. This is our Kanban system for project management. I'm going to get that set up. And there we go. Now I've got all three apps I use most frequently for engaging with our customers. For me, the nice thing about this is I don't have to pick the best all-in-one encompassing ecosystem. Instead, I can pick and choose my favorite apps that do the things that I want and have them all inside of a very easy to navigate interface. Now, if you're not liking the layout or the look of this tool, well, there are a lot of options you can tweak. I'm using the light theme right now, but I could switch over to the dark theme and it looks like this. I like this a lot better. All of the apps kind of fade away and I can focus on my content. There's also a slate look. Here's Slate. It kind of looks like Slack to me, and maybe that's the play on words they're trying to use. I'm going to go back to dark mode because I like that one the best. Now, truth be told, I probably like dark mode the best, but an issue I'm going to run into right now is that a few of my icons are not dark mode compatible. I'd have to swap these out. So to keep the video nice and simple, I'm going to go back to the original light view. Now, if you don't like this look with the icons on the left-hand sidebar, we can change that as well. I'm going to go under settings, and I can position my apps on the top, the right, the bottom, or the default, which is the left. Let's try on the top, see what that looks like. By default, it checks off hide app labels. All right, so now everything is up here, more like a traditional browser with tabs. When I go into my workspace, I get a second layer that cuts off a lot of the screen. I don't really like that as much as the left-hand sidebar. But if you put the icons at the bottom, well, then it starts to feel a lot more like macOS or even the taskbar inside of Windows. It doesn't bother me as much as when it takes up a lot of real estate at the top of the screen, but you do you. I'll move back to left for the rest of this video, but just know that there are settings to change this. All right, next let's talk about managing multiple accounts with the same service. So one of the most common instances here is going to be Google. Now, for me, I've got a YouTube account with one Google account and then a Google Docs account with a different one. And jumping back and forth in a traditional browser is always annoying because no matter what, I seem to be logged into the wrong account. So let me show you how it's handled inside of Rambox. I'm just going to create a new workspace here, and I'll call it Google Demo. I'm going to give it an icon just to show you that there are a lot of different default icons to choose from, but you can always upload your own if you like. For now, I'll just grab this globe and that'll be fine. Now I'm going to add two different Google accounts. The first one is going to be my YouTube account. So I'll click the plus button. Now YouTube Studio is not a default app, so I'll need to add a custom app for this. For this, I'm going to set the profile to be primary. That'll be where my main Google applications live. I'll hit add. And now I can go ahead and get logged in. All right, so now I'm logged into Google Studio, which is the place for creators to go and see how all of their videos are doing and add new ones, so on and so forth. This is a Google account. It's really no different than what you use to check Gmail, but it's not the same one I use for everything. So this one is now logged in. I'm going to go ahead and add in an additional Google account. Here, I'm going to add Google Sheets. All right, so I've got the Google Sheets app up, but this time I'm going to change the profile to be something else. I'll click on profile and then I'll hit this plus button here. I'm just going to call this the personal Google account. So I'll hit OK, close out of this window, and then make sure to choose it from the menu and hit add. Now I have to log into Google one more time. This time I'm using a totally different account that I just used for personal things. And there we go. Now I'm logged into Google Sheets inside of this application, but over here I'm back on Google Studio. Notice that there's a question mark for the icon. That's because I forgot to add one. There's a little button right here. I can click this and it's going to get the app logo from the website. It'll just grab the favicon. There we go. I don't really love that Google look, but I can customize that later. I'll give this one a name, YouTube Studio. So there we go. Now I can bounce back and forth between my business YouTube account, which is logged in with one Google account, and then my personal Google account. Now I'm going to Sheets here, but it could just as easily be Docs or Gmail or any other Google property that I have multiple accounts for. There's never a question about whether or not it's going to pick the right account. It'll always be set up for whatever profile you have configured. All right, there's one more feature in Rambox that I think you're really going to like. I'm going to take maybe a more lighthearted approach to demonstrating it, but don't knock it because it definitely will have productivity implications for business things as well. But what I'm going to do is show you essentially like a quad box multi-screen way to watch content. Now, you could certainly do this for stock trading or managing analytics. You know, there's a lot of different types of dashboards you could essentially build here, but let me show you how it works. I'm going to start by creating a new workspace, and I'll choose Add Workspace right here, and I'm just going to call this Baseball. All right, I'm just going to grab a random icon here that kind of looks like a baseball diamond, not really, but of course I could upload my own, and now I'm going to choose a different layout. So for Baseball, I'm going to go ahead and I think I want to have maybe 4 apps up at once. So I'll start here with this layout right here. I can always customize these to be exactly what I want. I'll show you. So here's my new workspace, and this looks totally different than what we've been seeing before. Inside of each of these boxes, I can add in my own application. So if I just hit the plus button, I can get the picker and choose any app that I want. I'm going to add a custom app. In this case, it's going to be MLB TV, so I can watch baseball games. There we go. That app loads up. I can log in and right away start watching some baseball content. Now, it really would be nice to have some stats up while I watched baseball. So over inside of this window, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Baseball Reference, which is a very popular baseball statistic website. So here we go. This is Baseball Reference. I can easily resize these. Maybe I want to make my screen a little bit bigger on this side, and it'll be more like a phone over here. And by the way, I could continue to split these as well. If I decide I want to have another application, I'll just split it to the right, and now I've got 3 on top. There's icons up here to split down or split to the right, and you'll find that on every window. Now, I'm actually okay with 2 on the top, so I'll get rid of that one I just created. And let's add in maybe, how about a Twitter conversation down below so I can see what the Twitterverse has to say about the baseball game I'm going to watch. Now, Twitter is actually a supported app, so I can just go ahead and add that in directly. All right, here we go. Now I've got my baseball feed going on down here, but you know what? This is far too big for Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead and add another app in. All right, so I just added my last app here. This is MLB.com. So I've got live scores showing up right here. I can follow the game day view, every single pitch inside of their box scores. I can follow the conversation on Twitter over here. I've got my historical statistics up here on Baseball Reference, and I can watch the live games up here on MLB.tv. Now, obviously, this is not about productivity, but I wanted to show you all of the cool things that you can actually do with Rambox. Sure, you could do this on a regular browser, but how easy is it to be inside of your baseball mode and then just switch over to work and everything that was distracting you is all gone? Oh, hey, look at this. Everything has gone to sleep because I haven't used it in 15 minutes. That's one of the power saving features of Rambox. Very easy to wake it up again. I'll just hit wake up and there we go. Now it's going to start taking up a little bit more CPU and power cycles, but that's actually useful when you're using the application itself. All of these apps that are sleeping have these little leaves next to them, and then any apps that have notifications are going to have the little circles next to them. At any point, you can configure the app exactly as you need. So I can right click on it here. I can shut it down so it saves power. I can turn off sound so that's not blaring in the background. And I can even turn off notifications if a certain app sends too many. There are also previous and next screens here. So you can go back and forth inside of your regular browsing flow. And there's even a reload button right here. And if you're wondering how to get access to all of those notifications, there is a bell icon down here, which will show you all of your notifications. You can even silence them when you go into focus mode if you'd like. I love the little Rambox mascot as it animates here, going in and out of focus mode. And of course, there is search. So if you can't remember where you left that inside of which workspace or whatever you're looking for, just click on the magnifying glass and you can search across all of your apps inside of all of your workspaces. Of course, this is a power user app, so there are key commands for everything. Command-Shift-Space will bring up that search function. So that is Rambox. I think what excites me most about Rambox is not necessarily that I'll be more productive, but just that I can stay more focused on a particular task. And I think Rambox does that wonderfully. Once again, this is a code limited deal. So if you think you want Rambox, spend the $5 over at AppSumo. Again, I have a link down below. If you click that, it does help out this channel. By the way, my name is Dave Swift. I'm from clientamp.com. Head over there if you want to check out my premium courses, get my free email newsletter, or even think about hiring me to work on your online business. That's going to do it for this video. Leave me any comments or questions down below. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.